now off the air about Idaho. We are big fans, all three of us, of the state of Idaho.
French fries.
We were talking about their famous potatoes, in fact. D, go for it. Continue praising Idaho and so on.
Welcome, everybody. This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only. You have to be 21 and over to be here. If not, you have to get the flying flock out of here.
And
Or
check my
send the Canadian Cobras after you. Talk to you, Fumi.
Not the Canadian Space Cobras, or wait, have they been upgraded to Space Cobras now? That would be really
I
quite
said
something.
Space Cobra. I didn't say Space Cobras.
Oh, well, because you probably couldn't. You'd have to probably kill us if you took it about it. Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Canadian Space Cobras coming to a space
Uh-huh.
race near you. The Russians have what, wood satellites or some shit? I can't remember. Some launched a wood satellite. No, it was the Japanese, I think, that just launched a wood satellite, and the Canadians have Canadian Space Cobras, migratory, no less.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cheers, Big John in the chat. Cheers, Christoph. Good to see you guys. Let me switch to live chat here. Boom, there we go. Big John is officially confirmed as first in the chat. Congrats, buddy. Christophe, bonjour, mon ami. Actually, bonsoir for him. He's probably chilling out for the evening, smoking his last few joints of the evening. Anyway, good to see Christoph. Good to see everyone else that's going to hop in here. You guys are, well, welcome. Thanks very much for watching the show. Tell your friends if you can. Tell your friends about the show. It's very hard to grow shows like this, basically impossible. So if you could tell your friends, if you guys, if you know somebody that you smoke weed with, or I don't know, perhaps you share plants with, or whatever else, weed friend, basically. A lot of people have them, right? More and more these days with legal communities and stuff. It's acceptable to talk to your friends about it, your neighbors. So tell your friends, folks, about this show and this channel. I'm hoping for sure that High Noon is not going to go anywhere. Even if I do change up the other shows, I'm hoping that High Noon will be a constant and we won't mess with a good thing. So tell them about it. And of course, while you're doing so, feel free to hit the upvote button or up thumbs up button. There we go. I spend too much time on Reddit. Feel free to hit the thumbs up button. It apparently does something. I don't know. Probably nothing, honestly, for this channel because it's been so locked down. But we'll pretend it does. It just makes me feel better when the thumbs ups are higher. Of course, if you hate the show very much, if you think it's terrible, if you think that I'm terrible, if you don't like my face, my voice, the color of the computer screen that's being broadcast here. I don't know, whatever. If you don't like something about us, feel free to hit the downvote button twice, really, to make it count. You always got to double tap. Everyone knows in a good video game or in real life, you got to double tap to make it count. So make sure to hit that thumbs down button twice. Exactly. Your mama likes a double tap as well. Couch Flyers in the house. He says, I hope parsecs are angels. My mom is 20 years dead. Oh, that started. I thought it was going to be funny and then it got sad. All right. So, Couch Flyers, sorry about that. I didn't mean to joke about that. Pot is in the house. What's going on, buddy? Pardon me. I did smoke a joint of Jinbis right before the show. So, actually, I'm really quite enjoying that weed. Like, it makes me a little bit, as you can probably see, it makes me a little silly. Uh,
Which
can't
one?
remember what the breeding is. Pardon?
Which one? Which one was that, Fumi?
Cheetah piss.
Oh.
Yeah. You can't just say it normally. You got to say cheetah piss. Because the names are always because it's cookies, so it's always like neon and shit. Yeah.
So I grew cheetah piss a few years ago, and I got like lemonade flavors and like OG, kind of like a lemonade, funky lemonade. But it might have just been the phenol I had. I don't know. I didn't get
Yeah,
any
it's
piss.
probably phenotypically variant, yeah, but because I don't get a lot of lemonade. It's not a super complicated aroma or anything, honestly. Where's the jar? No, that's a jar of something else.
I had the
This is lemon
what do you
juice.
call those people? Those people that are dark heart nurseries cut of cheetah piss. So I don't know what.
I have a cut that fell off the back of a truck. basically. So it's a legit, but it basically wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It fell off the back of a truck. It's really quite gassy, and it hasn't really cured enough. So I guess we'll give it a little bit more time to really say complicatedly what it is. I just honestly like the high more than anything else. The flavor is a little bit bland. I was actually kind of talking shit about it a few weeks ago because as it was finishing up, and I think maybe I had one early plant that I was basically taking some early puffs on. I was like, oh, this is fine. This is okay. This is blah, blah, blah. I think it was just that plant that was like that. Maybe I harvested early or something. I don't remember the circumstances because it's just been a really frantic time in my life. Maybe I was in California. I don't remember what the situation was. But long story short, it's lovely. Like the high is lovely. It doesn't last a super long time, so I would still complain a little bit like, oh, it can be improved. But honestly, of all the cookie stuff that I've smoked, other than Forum Cut, probably all the other different cookies cuts, I think this one the best. Honestly, this is a little unique in the what do you call it? It's oh, I guess I need to find a better word for this. An earthy fueliness that's okay. I'm not describing this well at all. Long story short, the flavor is a little bit unique. It's not super profound or unique how do I say this? It's not unique in its flavor, it's unique in its characteristics. That doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm a little bit high on cheetah piss. This is what I like the most about cheetah piss, not the flavor, the fact that it makes me a silly motherfucker. That's literally what it is.
What have you tried like the Fly or Adios Motherfucker or any of the newer ones? Because like Adios Motherfucker, I guarantee you're gonna like that motherfucker. Like that's probably their best. Like the best that that's their
What's
pinnacle.
gosh, I haven't seen it at all. What's let's look this shit up.
And it's like
Taste
all
the
their
motherfucking rainbow.
when you look up their crosses, they're all very similar, right? It's like they're always using gelato and sherbet.
That's the thing, like a lot of the gelato crosses, gelato 41 and blah blah blah, they're fine, they're okay, blah blah blah, but I'm not like super impressed. They don't make me silly. Like the weed just I don't know, all the different gelatos, they basically are just they're kind of there. I like them for flavor. They don't really get me that high. What else? What else? Hold on. What was I looking up? I was looking up Adios Motherfucker.
Yep, Adios Motherfucker.
That's an awesome name.
I was seriously. If people say that Burner names his strains well, if that's one of his names, I guess I got to give it to him. Audio. All right, Adios. I'm not seeing.
Can't hear you. Can't hear Fumi over you.
What's that for?
What were you saying the cross was?
I don't know. I'm trying to look it up. Oh, here we go.
Hasn't found it yet.
Not on Seed Finder. Adios MF, also known as AMF or Adios Motherfucker, is biscotti to sherbet, sherbet. Fuck, I always hate how they misspell it. Okay, so it's here. I'll just show.
Adio's good.
Biscotti is good actually, but biscotti's not theirs. Biscotti is okay. Biscotti is on Seed Finder. Let's look up biscotti again. Biscotti. I used to have biscotti and then I fucking accidentally lost it because it was stupid. Seed.
Or up in their house.
Hola. That's gonna be.
Hi, Johnson. Hi, everybody.
By the way, folks, I forgot to say earlier, the sort of newer rules apply. Not everybody is welcome. It's not like an open door anymore. It's still an open door, basically, but you got to ask nicely first. Let's see here. There's an unknown or legendary, but I cannot find it yet. Oh, Biscotti. There we go. No, I'm in Biscotti. No, there we go. Biscotti. Oh, yeah, they're calling it from Cookie Fam. All right. So they say it's from them. They say it's South Florida OG by Gelato number 25. I don't remember what Gelato 25 is like. South Florida OG, is that meant to be a Triangle Kush, do you think?
That's probably Triangle is what I was guessing, but that's what I've always thought South Florida was, but it could also be the original Josh. It's hard to say on that one. That one's got covered in folklore. And then Gelato 25, they never released that pheno. That's like an in-house. That's like something they kept in-house.
Gotcha.
70, there was a bunch of phenos that they kept. They didn't give out, but
Mm.
we got like 41, I think 42, 33,
Did we
45. I
ever
think.
find out of how many? So they popped 1,000 or 100 or 50
It
or
was over 70, I believe.
oh, okay. And this was come on, switch over. This is supposed to be Adios Motherfucker. This is
Oh
one
yeah, see, but
side Biscotti to Sherbet and the other side Jealousy. And Jealousy is quite nice, honestly.
Yes.
that's all. That's three really killer. That's like three of their best strains.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, guys.
And what I dislike about it is that it really is just reshuffling the same goddamn shit over and over and over again and finding some new phenotype. It's fine. I guess there's nothing wrong with it. Realistically, fuck, I mean,
Hey, we can't say
good
can't
weed.
say that.
I can't really criticize that shit. I mean, the cheetah piss is delightful. You're saying the Adios Motherfucker is good too. So on some level, I'm poo-pooing them for basically no reason. At the same time, it feels wrong. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just gonna yell at the clouds or some shit, right?
They have one. They also have one called the Fly that's really good too.
Oh,
But yeah, you can't say they don't work their own lines, right? Like they
yeah,
definitely work their own lines, probably more so than anybody else.
there you go. I guess you can't really criticize them after all. Fuck's sake, life.
I'm gonna have to add that to my list of wanna tries now.
Yep,
Adios, motherfucker.
yep. They just opened up cookies in Portland. I guess they had no. I guess they had another one. They had a store in Clack. Well, technically, I guess it was in Clackamas. So it wasn't really in Portland, or shit. Anyway, somewhere over in East Portland, basically, but East kind of Metro Portland. Now they have one in Portland proper over on close to Stark. Doesn't really matter. Seventh and Stark. Probably hardly anybody here is really from Portland. But anyway, basically right across the bridge from downtown. Not really the best location, honestly. I would have expected, a big brand cookies with big old fucking money to go Broadway. Like there's a couple of huge dispensaries that are obviously very, very deep cash. Broadway Cannabis Co. or something. They literally have two stores on Broadway, one ginormous one that obviously cost a few $1 million, and the other one down the street over close to where the old immigration building used to be. And that one is still probably a couple $1 million complex, shiny lights and everything. It used to be, I think, a carpet store. Anyway, I would have expected, cookies to have one of those stores instead of kind of this little shop. This little shop, actually, this little shop I think used to also be a weed store. It used to be called like Cannabis Front or something. No, that's a different store. Fuck, we've got just like Los Angeles, we've got a fuckload of dispensaries. It's crazy. But what did it used to be called? Oh, it was like a play on words with German. It was a Grun or something. No, that's the candy bar company. Grass or some shit like that. Yeah, it was GRASS or some shit. I think that's where the cookies is now. Anyway, kind of a small store that they've painted blue and it just says cookies. I don't know. Again, to me, it's abstract. It's like unless you're really into the cookies brand, I would just drive by. I'd be like, what is that? Women's clothing or something? That would be my assumption. I'd be like, oh, it's probably bikinis or something. You know? So fucking weird. I should
They
take some pictures of it and show you guys. It's just like to me, it's I don't know. I don't understand how that brand exists, but you can't argue with the fact that they do.
they have some small shops here too as well. They have some decent sized ones in like LA, but then there's some smaller ones out towards the desert.
I guess their idea probably is really just to get a foothold, I
But
suppose not everybody has to throw every freaking single dollar at the wall. I suppose that's probably part of it. Cheers, by the way.
and when you go in there, like I mean, I'm sure it's going to be different for every state because in every state, like it's contracted out, right? Like what
Mm.
as far as cookies brand product being grown, like that's all farmed out like to different growers depending on where they're at. So, like just because you don't like the strain in Portland doesn't mean you're not going to like it if you got it at Melrose, right? Because it's going to be different growers completely. And like that's another thing. Like someone might get a shit. Someone might buy something they fucking hate at a cookie store in some other state, and then they come to cookie store in LA and it's completely fucking different, but it's the same strain, right? But it's like because environment and inputs and how you grow it. I mean, you can really poo poo some weed, especially if you don't cure it right. Dry it too fast.
That's why when I try cannabis, I'll try it 3 different times. Like I'll
Yeah,
say, Blue Dream, I'll try it from this guy, and then I'll see it again somewhere else and try it again. If it's no good the first time, maybe the second time will be better.
and then grow it yourself, and you're like,
Mhm.
that's the difference. I don't care
Yeah.
which, grow it yourself, world of difference.
Yeah,
Because
I've had pita piss 2 or 3 times from a dispensary, from like a cookies affiliated dispensary. And it had basically the same kind of what carpet fuel fucking terps, basically, like I don't know, gasoline on a carpet or something, right? And it had that in there, but it was very diminished compared to what I have now. Like as soon as I open the jar, it's really loud. The joint itself is super loud. If I, sometimes I'll roll a joint and just kind of put it in my ear and walk around for a little bit, if I go to the garden or something, and water some plants, and then eventually I'll light it, and I can smell the joint like powerfully, loudly. That wasn't the case for those other joints, you know what I mean? It's very interesting to see how much of a difference that makes. And how do I put this? Like that was at official dispensaries. I'm still puzzled to this day. Like, how did they have such bad weed? Like it was just very crumbly. Like as soon as I didn't even grind it. I just kind of smushed it into powder on the table. I remember, like I literally didn't even have to grind the shit to roll it in a joint. And then it was difficult to roll it in a joint because it kind of wouldn't adhere. Like weed is supposed to be sticky a little bit, right? It's not really that difficult to roll in
yeah,
a joint. It's difficult to light sometimes, but it's not
it's
difficult to
really
roll. This
dried
was
out stuff.
to accumulate into a fucking cylinder of weed. It was bizarre. Anyway, I mean, probably just poorly grown. Like honestly, I have to just be
Yeah,
frank with that. And folks know my opinion. I think synthetic growing is part of the problem, but even still, I'm sure you could grow it well with synthetics and not have that. I don't even know what you would do. It was probably over dry, but it wasn't really that dry. It probably was just bulked up too fast. I guess, without ever really experimenting with the systems, I guess I assume that it was probably over fertilized, but that's just an assumption
no,
of, you know,
I don't know. I don't know. I guess that's also a debatable thing. But I'll say
that's
like
the thing. I don't
these
really know.
places don't flush either. But some people don't agree, don't believe in flushing. I believe in flushing, but some people don't believe in flushing. Most of these recreationals, they don't flush. They feed until the day before they chop it.
Hmm.
Uh,
I mean, how do I put this? Like, in theory, I don't disagree. I think this is probably one of those things. If I were a synthetic grower, I would probably, I mean, I haven't done it, so I don't know what I would do after 10 years, right? But if I were to start doing it, I would probably try to do a minimum feeding, but all the way through. I wouldn't do a flush because a flush to me would be a sign that I over fertilized in the beginning part of both veg and flower, maybe, or at least during flower. So for me, I would, whatever the fertilizer regimen, I would probably, like a lot of people like Bud and a lot of people say, they cut it in half or even a quarter, I would probably do that, and then I would feed up until the end. Uh, but again, I've never really tried it. I guess I've grown a couple plants synthetically, but not really enough to tell you that's exactly the truth or blah 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 blah. Right? What am I trying to say? But I guess to compare it, it's not a super fair comparison because they're different kinds of nutrients. But in theory, no-till basically feeds until the end. I mean, it's essentially feeding until the very end. The soil is always alive. I don't remove nutrients from it. In fact, I'm basically adding nutrients to it in the form of basically carbon, essentially, either barley or some kelp or a little bit of alfalfa or maybe some cover crop or whatever, like chop and drop the cover crop, uh,
mm,
fish hydrolysate, stuff like that. I'll add into it. Um, but I'm never actually like removing. And how do I put this? Even if it's water only, that doesn't really matter because the soil is already quite richly amended with rock phosphate and all kinds of different rock powders, gypsum and blah, 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 fish bone meal from years ago, et cetera, et cetera. Well, that might be broken down already. But how do I say it? Like the plants are able to constantly accumulate nutrients, and yet they taste very richly flavorful and don't burn and spark when you burn them. They burn, just completely white when you burn them. So it makes me think, how different are the nutrients really? Yeah, the ionic nutrients basically kind of get sucked up the plant instead of the plant sort of sucking them up themselves. But I mean, is that a huge difference? It feels to me like it wouldn't be such a huge difference. So I know that
Yes.
it's probably a strange example, but I feel like it's not a bad one to think about. Like, what really is the difference between organic tomato sucking up fungally derived phosphorus and the phosphorus from a bottle getting injected up to
Because because your tomato, your organic thing, like the plant is uptaking that as when it needs it, right? As where with a synthetic situation, it's osmotic pressure, so the plant doesn't get to decide if it wants that or not.
and it
It's
just
going to be in the plant
injected with it.
through osmotic pressure,
Mm.
right? It's where like your organic plant, like if it needed some nitrogen, it's going to uptake nitrogen or whatever element it needs.
But also something that I wonder about, well, okay, just get to the point. Uh, um, how much of those nutrients are retained in the fruits, so to speak? In the tomato's case, literally, well, I guess a tomato is a berry or whatever. It doesn't really fucking matter. I don't even remember what it's classified. Uh, no, what is it? Intelligence is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to serve it in a fruit salad. Something like that.
No,
I think.
it like changes though. Like on the vine, it's one thing, and then picked, it's another thing. I heard also.
That would be amusing. Uh,
It's like
uh,
on the vine, I guess it's technically it's a vegetable, and then once it's picked, it's a fruit because it has the seeds.
Dee would
I don't
say
know.
once it's picked, it looks like Dee's nuts. Oh,
Let's
Ew.
hope his nuts aren't big and red like that. That'd be fucked up.
like your mama. No, what am I trying to say? That I wonder honestly how much pick a nutrient, magnesium, is retained in that tomato if it is basically osmotically pushed into the tomato. Let's say that the tomato is picked right after they basically uh, fed,
Well,
watered and fed basically with that synthetic feed essentially. Let's say that the tomato sucked it right up. How much of that magnesium really is in that tomato? I honestly don't know. I don't think I've ever really heard anyone talk about that specifically. That's one of the things that's bothered me candidly about the whole flushing thing, because I'm like, you're not flushing a toilet. It seems like you're mixing metaphors basically, right? Like we're used to flushing a toilet of something we don't want, and so we basically use that same kind of concept onto a plant that doesn't have the same kind of valves and waste systems and everything else that we're talking about. And even if it did, it wouldn't really be wasting magnesium or phosphorus or anything like that. It would be potentially burning through those nutrients maybe. But again, if they're burning through the nutrients slowly, why didn't you just feed it slower? It would be kind of my logical process. But anyway.
because you wanted it to get big fast, so you feeding 1,000 ppm to get it big, and then say it's a 10-week strain. Well, then like at week 8, you're gonna maybe you'll cut it in half, so it's 500 ppm, and then a week 9 or 10, you'll just like I use like molasses, unsulfured molasses and water, or I'll use like molasses. Yeah, I use molasses most of the time for my flush. I don't
I'd
know.
love to know. I'd love to talk to somebody. We need to talk to some, because I don't want to talk to a nutrient company necessarily about this, because no offense to the nutrient guys, they're nice
They're
people.
gonna want you to feed the end.
They're not going to be the one that's going to answer this question for me, really. Um, Yeah, I'd probably have to go. I've been thinking about maybe trying to go and talk to some actual agronomists and stuff, maybe over at OSU in Corvallis. Maybe I can actually do that and just I have microphones and stuff. I have recorders. Maybe and well, I used to know at least a few people over there. Maybe I could still talk to a few people over there and get in touch with some actual PhDs that know this stuff for real. It would be really interesting to know about how much plants retain of these different things. I mean, one thing that's always bothered me about synthetic feeding. How do I put this? Is this the right way to even describe it? Well, I'll just get to the point. When you burn, again, a tomato or weed or tobacco or anything else, something like, well, a good percentage of it is actually water. So even if the weed or I guess a tomato isn't dry, but if it was, we're probably not going to burn a tomato, right? That's a stupid metaphor. But if you burn weed or burn tobacco or something, even the dry weed or tobacco still has what, 20-30% moisture in it. I can't remember what the exact percentage is, but it's still a substantial percentage of moisture. Then the rest of it, the 97% of it basically is carbon, pretty much. And a lot of times it's either ash or smoke that basically gets blown into the air, essentially, right? For example, when you burn weed, you exhale smoke, basically. People can see the smoke base. A lot of that is carbon. And then there's also ash that you ash off. A lot of this carbon. Well, of the rest of it, there's like 1 or 2% that's iron, phosphorus, magnesium, all the shit that we supposedly feed these plants. It was kind of one of the reasons logically where I was like, man, I just want to do organic growing, because I was like, it doesn't make sense to me to feed a plant from the ground, because the plant really is feeding from the sky. It essentially eats carbon dioxide and turns that into sugar and da da da, and takes micronutrients from the soil. So anyway, with all this different babbling, and yeah, I am still actually high from cheetah piss, so I'll give them credit. It lasts at least 45 minutes or an hour. Um,
Nice.
what was I going to say that yeah, I mean, in a joint or in a tomato or whatever else, how much of that really is that feed that we're talking about? That we're either talking about flushing or filling the tomato with or anything else. I'm honestly curious. And I'm curious too, because I was thinking about this. I was talking to somebody about this the other day, maybe on the show too, about how, yeah, I think maybe we were talking to North Star about this the other day, about tomatoes, like a ripe, in fact we were, it was last high noon, I think we were talking about like a ripe luscious tomato, and I was thinking to myself how it has more vitamins. I don't really have a conclusive proof to this. It seems quite logical. I think I have heard this before. I think I've read this before, that ripe fresh vegetables have more nutrition than green ones, but I don't know this for sure. I'm really honestly curious if the store-bought tomato that tastes bland and crappy has less vitamins and nutrients than the beautifully, carefully grown organic tomato, because it seems like it does.
I don't know. I read a report that organic stuff on average has quite a bit more nutrients in it than the.
That's what I've heard too, but I would really like to actually see some conclusive evidence, because it's one thing to hear something and to suspect something. It's another thing to actually it out, right? Because fuck, what's a good metaphor? Actually, everyone knew that the world was round, but everyone's like, oh, everyone thought the world was flat until Columbus. Da, 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 da. Actually, everyone knew that the world was round, but still, as a metaphor, somebody has to come along and say, well, I guess the stars orbiting the Earth would be a better example. Everyone thought that the stars orbited the Earth, right? The Earth was the center of the universe, and all of a sudden, Copernicus and Galileo and a few other people are like, no, bro, it's actually the sun that we orbit around, and and it might not even be the sun that everything orbits around. On and on and on and on. Anyway, can you imagine they got in so much trouble for that shit? People got burned at the stake for saying that the Earth was not the center of the universe.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how this flat Earth crap
Oh, there it is.
persists.
I'm convinced those people are just contrarians, honestly.
Like I didn't even hear about it until maybe right around COVID time or something. Like
Oh,
before that,
I've heard of flat earthers for years, honestly,
yeah,
since
I
I
never heard of them before that. And then all of a sudden on the internet, a bunch of them popped up, and I'm like, what? You guys, you fucking with me? You can't be serious. You believe that?
I think they existed, but they got a sense of community basically from the internet, right? Because back when, I don't know, what do you are you pen pals with all your fellow flat earthers or some shit? I don't know, how do you find each other? But on the internet, it's probably a lot easier.
There was a guy out here, not far, maybe 100 miles from me. This place called Amboy, and this guy like built a rocket and strapped it to his back a few years ago. He wanted to prove that the Earth was flat, so he strapped it to his back and like took off, and he died. He killed himself.
The worst part is that even when they disprove themselves, it just makes them believe it harder.
Yeah,
Honestly,
because
it's
the
basically
government probably was trying to
uh,
stop it, and
pardon.
everybody, so the government and everybody with local government was trying to stop it, right? And
They're
they're
like,
all
you're
like,
gonna die.
yeah, because and all the flat earther people were like, yeah, because he's gonna prove it, and like they're like,
Prove that there's walls and shit on the end of the earth.
yeah, but no, it's bizarre. It's like between that and the alien stuff, like that's all over out here in the desert.
Okay.
Once is there like an alien video from Tanzania or some shit. It's always some grainy video from some dude in Arkansas or whatever, right? It can never be like Venezuela or some shit, or you know what I mean? Like if there were actually aliens visiting the earth and doing all this stuff, we would have all these reports from, and they wouldn't be grainy. Like somebody with some, I don't know, we'd have some Arab sheikh in the middle of the desert basically with his swarm of falcons. He'd be out there with his $2 million camera or some shit, and he would take the pictures of the aliens, and we'd actually have it on the internet. But yeah, we don't have that because I don't think that they have visited us. I would like
D,
to, but I don't think that we've been visited. Probably.
no D. There's a you drive around, you'll see people that got like alien type things that are shaped like aliens in their yards here, like yard art, and then
It's
there's a lot of
crazy.
metal cutouts. Like, well, this is Route 66, right? And so it's like, it's not far from
Not,
Vegas.
not that far from Area 51, are you?
Area 51. Yeah.
Uh, Probably a few hundred miles. I'm not sure. I have to
Oh,
look it up.
never mind. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Nevada's pretty big.
I'm not. I'm like 2 hours from Vegas, 2.5 hours.
Nice. We're gonna put
Yeah,
it all on black.
yeah. I'm
Oh, you'd
basically right
love
in the center.
Nevada.
It's like 2 hours to Vegas, 2 hours to LA, 2 hours to San Diego.
You'd love the
I
weather. Freakishly hot.
I
Oh,
just
it's super
quickly show off my really cool shirt that Mrs. G got me from Timu, by the way.
zombie.
Nice.
It has a big brain on it. It says brains and brain since 1958. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, before 1958, no humans had brains. We operated on something. No, it's good.
That's right.
Wow, it's nighttime in Thailand for once.
Cheers.
Merci, Christoph. Sorry.
Cheers, by the way, folks in the chat.
So I'm smoking another. Well, I guess it's a cookie derivative of some sort, but it's called Disco Mints. The hash I'm smoking. I've never heard of it. I didn't even look it up, see what it was. I just looked at the dispensary and like it's a certain brand, so I was just like, I want a gram of unpressed heads, and
Hmm.
it's good, but I don't know what the disco part. I'm guessing it must have some animal mints in it, is why it has mints.
Because it's a party in your mouth. Right, Captain?
In your mouth. Yeah, that's I don't know how that sounds weird.
What's going on, Captain? You're muted, buddy. If you're trying to talk to us.
Yeah, I was, but oh well.
There he
Shit
is.
happens.
Your lips were moving. I was like, I don't know. Is he trying to sit there or what? What's going on, bud?
Not a whole lot. Figured I'd come join you since I'm up. There's a joint in the ashtray I didn't even smoke half of.
Well, there you go. Almost like a free joint.
Well, if someone wants to go ahead and smoke that shit, they're more than welcome to.
What
I
time
mean,
is
I
it?
got halfway through it and put it out.
Nice. Love for the plant is living the dream. He says, cheers, weed nerds and friends. Making pasta and smoking a grease monkey flower or smoking on
Oh,
flower. Living the dream at the moment. You can see love for the plant. St. Pete Runners in the house. Hardcore's in the house. Who else in here? Jones N2 Grows in the house. J5's hanging. Well, no. Face planting. He's face planting something. Why is he face planting? It's a bioaccumulator. It accumulates. lot of
Oh,
vegetables.
we were talking about earthers
I'm talking about. Oh, that's
by the hand.
Big Chirp is in your tent. Oh shit, he's in your tent. Oh no. Couch flyer sitting on the couch and flying. Welcome everyone.
Imagine though, like if everything was flat like Minecraft, like our weed they grew like squares, tomatoes, everything square. You know,
Don't laugh at that. They're actually doing that now with cages, and
I
they're
know.
putting them around the tomatoes.
I mean, watermelon, Japan.
Watermelon, yeah. I've seen square watermelons.
Yeah, I'm not gonna pay $100 for a square
Yeah,
watermelon. No, fuck off with that.
that's crazy.
Yeah, apparently that's the new thing now. They have luxury fruit in Japan, and now they're trying to introduce luxury fruit in the US. Like 85. Yeah, basically, because in Japan they have this crazy gifting culture. You're supposed to give like nice gifts, but they're not supposed to be too ostentatious. They're not supposed to be like jewelry or whatever else. So people were like, "Well, fuck, what am I going to give my boss or whatever?" And you can't give your boss like a $5 mango from the street corner, but you could give them like a super fancy mango that has a stamp on it. It's all super pretty. So basically, that's where that culture came from, where they give you like an apple that is the perfect apple that was hand grown in its own little apple cradle, and it's perfectly round and it's red on all sides and whatever the shit. I don't even know. I've never eaten an $85 apple, but everyone those fruits says that they're delightful, but they always pretty much say like, yeah, I'm not going to buy another $85 whatever the shit it is. There was a video like a $200 cantaloupe or whatever, and the people they were practically crying when they were eating it. They were like, "This is really genuinely the best cantaloupe I've ever eaten." But they were like, "Who the fuck is going to buy a $200 cantaloupe again?" So anyway,
What the fuck is wrong with people?
When I was out with Bud, his brother came in with the red pineapples
Hmm.
from the movie set. And we had red pineapple, and it's like, this is a $50, $60 pineapple. And it's like, it's just a fucking pineapple to me.
Red pineapple? Was that a real thing or
Yeah. Yeah. Dole makes it. Dole makes them.
Oh, I gotta look this up. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah.
No,
There's that one
Shit.
that it's like it was like it's like a vanilla custard banana or some shit. It's purple. No, not purple. Oh, I'm getting this way wrong. But anyway, you order each bunch of bananas is like $50 and you mail order it. But apparently they're really good. Uh, fuck, what other?
Yeah, yeah, but they're not that good.
Well, I guess yeah. I mean, shit. I don't know. I'm a fan of bananas, but I don't know if I'm going to spend $50 for a bunch of bananas. I mean, seriously, I love bananas. I eat a banana every goddamn day, but I don't think I'd spend. What does that come out to per banana? If it's $50 for a bunch of so okay, maybe $10 for a banana. Would I try a $10 banana? Yeah, I probably would try a $10 banana. I don't
So
know
this
if
says
I five bananas like that, but we'd see.
You know
this
what's
says that.
really good?
Oh, go ahead.
Fried bananas, putting them on the grill and
that's a
grilling them.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
they
a
get
Caribbean
really
thing.
sweet.
sure.
They do that in the Caribbean. I did a thing
Yeah.
on it.
Hmm.
You put them in batter and then you deep fry them.
I've had that.
No, they just put them right on a grill.
So this says that about this red pineapple. It says unique fruit from a rare commodity. It says only a couple hundred have been brought to the continent to be sold. Only 5,000 of them will be available worldwide in 2024. Fruit distributor Del Monte says. So $400
Yeah.
a piece.
That's crazy.
$400. I mean, what would it taste like?
It
My,
tasted like a pineapple.
honestly, pineapples used to no, seriously, pineapples used to be really hard to find. Where are they even from? They're not from Hawaii. I want to say they're from Thailand.
Thailand.
No, let's look up.
I was gonna say Asia, but
Anyway, they used to be, I've said this before on the show, they used to be so expensive that people would rent them for parties and they'd be the centerpiece. And basically, people would be impressed. Oh my God, you got a pineapple here? And nobody would eat it because the pineapple was worth like $2,000 or $3,000. And you'd literally rent these pineapples and then you'd rent it for a couple of days and then you'd pass it on to the net, you'd take it back to the rental house and they'd rent the pineapple out again and again and again. And finally, when the pineapple was rotten, like literally falling apart, that's when they would maybe let somebody eat it. Can you imagine? It's so fucking gross.
That's
Pineapple.
bizarre.
I know it. Tropical
I
plant.
bet you pineapple have been here in Thailand for quite a long time because we have different varieties of them. Because where I'm at, we get little ones that are like the size of my fist, but they're sweet as hell. They're like eating sugar.
Hmm.
Yeah. Man, I'm gonna have to go back to the land of green tomato or green bananas and green pineapple.
That baby girl.
Yeah, another topic. Are we not going to be able to make seeds here pretty soon if this reschedule goes through? Are we done? Are seed banks done? Or seed groups done? Or
We were talking about that the other day with North Star, I think 2 weeks ago. I don't think anyone really knows. I don't think it's going to affect the current situation, but there's also the possibility. I don't know exactly what happened, but some yokel Republican was trying to insert an amendment, rather, to one of the latest bills in the House, basically, that was going to essentially roll back almost everything from the 2018 Farm Bill that essentially legalizes hemp and seeds and everything else. I don't think that was going to pass, but there was the chance that it could have passed. So that would have been catastrophically shitty. Um, my
Man,
suspicion with the rescheduling is that it is going to put a lot of people out of business, or a lot of the kind of fly by night people out of business. I'm hoping maybe that people that have medical cards and stuff like that will have a little bit more permission. I don't know, honestly, anything more than that. I don't think anyone really knows. So,
yeah, it'd just be terrible.
mm,
Then all our seeds would come from Europe again.
yeah, and they're not very good from Europe. So that's even the most terrible part of it. But for real, yeah, it would put out a lot of it would put a lot of people out of business and replace them basically with crappy businesses. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
excuse me. Were you connected to the internet? Because it seemed like when you shut down, you killed the internet for the front desk.
Hmm.
What
That's funny.
what did I say? Looking for a
And I
couple of.
see like the latest thing now out here in California is clones. Everybody is all about clones right now. They're like, you don't see too many people doing seeds right now. Like, and I even see like a lot of the seed banks selling clones, and then like a lot of these breeders on Instagram selling clones directly to people. I'm like, that's interesting. Um, Nothing wrong with clones, but it's like you have to. It's not the same as like pheno hunting. It's not the same thrill.
Hmm. This guy right here, I was talking about this the other day. That's not the page I want to show, but this is right here. Oh,
That's
you know
like
what? I showed this same story actually just the other day. This
genetic
could just be
lottery.
bullshit hype, but this is Ag Fund News or some shit. Armed with $100 million, this guy basically figured out a way to enforce triploids and duploids, or what are they called? Ploidy, enforced ploidy. I can't remember. So basically, he can double up the genes for yield and apparently crop resistance and all that. Here, I can post a link for it.
Is he using CRISPR or was he doing?
Apparently not. He hasn't said what he's using, but it's something. My guess is it'll be something simple, honestly, like a chemical that they basically spray on it or something. But what do I know, right? Here, I'll put it in the private chat here, and I'll put it in the YouTube chat as well, so that anybody can go look. This could just be one of those nonsense. I wonder what DGC Jeff thinks about it. This could be one of those just nonsense. I mean, okay, he's already got $100 million apparently, so it's probably not complete nonsense, but it could be essentially one of those very cynical plays that Jorge was talking about, that they're basically just trying to find a proof of concept that they can sell for $1 billion and then bounce off into the sunset. I mean, they still have to, I guess, accomplish it, but strange times we live in.
$1 million.
Right. Speaking of which, there was another story here. Colorado's weed market is coming down hard and it's making other states nervous, is the exact story right here over at Yahoo Finance. Apparently, they still exist. This is according to Mona Zhang. There's a picture of a chick walking her dog by Simply Pure in, they don't actually say where it's from. Why do I want to think that it's probably Boulder or something? Anyway, the story's from Denver. What are they talking about? No shit. On January 1st, 2014, Iraq War veteran John Azaridi made headlines worldwide as the first person in the U.S. to buy illegal weed. That's fucking funny as hell. 10 years later, 3D Cannabis, the dispensary in Denver's Elyria Swansea neighborhood where the historic purchase was made, displays a makeshift sign announcing it is temporarily closed. The windows and doors on the side of the building have been boarded up. Plastic bags, discarded coffee cups, and other trash collect in the corners of the abandoned lot. What? The dismal state of the historic site is a fitting symbol of the plight of Colorado's cannabis market. What once was a success story has now left a trail of failed businesses and cash-strapped entrepreneurs in its wake. Regulatory burdens, an oversaturated market, and increasing competition from nearby states have all but landed major blows, leaving other states with newer marijuana markets scrambling to avoid the same mistakes. For years, Colorado's market was a marijuana market minted successful local entrepreneurs who bootstrapped small businesses into national brands. The market drew aspiring cannabis professionals from across the country, college grads with a business idea or investors looking to get in on the green rush. In 2020, the market soared to $2.2 billion, but just 3 years later, sales had plummeted to $1.5 billion, leading to layoffs, closures, and downsizing. The market downturn has spelled trouble for state finances too. Colorado took in just $282 million in cannabis tax revenues in the last fiscal year, down more than 32% from 2 years earlier. They say a messy assortment of factors that led to the pioneering industry struggles. A supply glut caused weed prices to plummet in the wake of the pandemic. The spread of cheap, largely unregulated, intoxicating hemp-derived products further heightened competitive pressures. Interesting that they say that. I think I got the box behind me. I got a sample box basically from this company, Sherpa, and they're like, "Oh, hey, we want you to try this and recommend it to your friends." And the funny thing is, I was gonna be like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'm gonna hate it." It's actually really good. Like the brownies are really good, so I can imagine that stuff is a huge competitor to a legal dispensary. You can order it online. You don't have to tell anybody. People are still scared of going into dispensaries. Anyway, back to the article. And they also say marijuana remains federally illegal, subjecting operators to sky-high taxes and costly regulations. It's like the wind in our cannabis sales. Oh, do we get to see the whole story? Well, we don't really have to read the whole story, but anyway, interesting. We've heard this all around actually, the show's kind of almost over anyway. We've heard this kind of stuff over and over again around the country, in California and a few other places. The weed market has not been gangbusters like people thought it would be. It's definitely not given the states the tax money they thought that they would be rolling in, basically like Scrooge McDuck. And it's honestly crushed a bunch of businesses more than really minted very many. At the same time, there's all this consolidation. It's glum. You want to think a little bit more positively about it, but it's glum when you hear this kind of stuff. So I don't know. Hope that there's something better coming around.
I'm
Well,
curious. If we were,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I think it is, but it's still a couple years down the road because they haven't pushed all of us out yet. Once they push all of us out, then yeah, the prices are going to go up, and we're going to be able to get $3,000, $4,000 a pound again. But by then, it's going to be controlled by all big business, and we're going to be outlaws again. Because first step is going to take the medical away. They're going to pass this bill. And then once they pass this bill to reschedule, they're going to start to take medical away. States like Michigan are going to come up and say, well, our medical numbers have gone from 1.2 million people down to 250, 280,000. Why do we really need medical? We have recreational. They can just go buy there. And that's when the prices will go up.
I certainly hope that doesn't happen, but you're probably not wrong. Nobody really defends the medical programs, honestly. Love for the Plant says, I worked in commercial market in Colorado selling stateside. All the border towns along Oklahoma, New Mexico, Oklahoma and New Mexico were our honey holes. And I always said that Colorado is going to hurt when those states turn. Yeah, I want to say because California went legal before Oregon did. And Oregon basically ended up, or California had all these dispensaries, essentially right on the border with Oregon. They were obviously honey holes, right? And the funniest thing is that there would be cops that would park like right across the border too. So they probably stopped anybody that basically pulled out of the goddamn parking lot and then, went up into Oregon. What else?
Probably same thing with Washington, because Washington and Colorado were first, same day.
Yeah.
So,
I don't remember if there are dispensaries. There must have been in Vancouver because you were right. Washington went legal before Oregon did. There must have been dispensaries. I mean, I guess Vancouver's
I know that I was for a little bit there. I was living in Tri-Cities in Kennewick, Washington, and that borders like Hermiston, like a little right there, and like people were coming over from like Hermiston and like that area, along the Columbia, and they would come over to Tri-Cities because the Tri-Cities had like the only dispensary within like 100-mile radius. The green to go, and their prices weren't that great, and there'd be a line. This fucking place, man, you'd have to wait outside and only let like one person in at a time, and it'd be like a line of like 50 plus people all the time. It gets really cold there in the winter, like like in the single digits, and people would be like waiting outside in the fucking snow. I don't know. I did it a couple of times. I'm like, man, why am I doing this? Never had to do this in Seattle. Because it gets like real snow over there. Like a couple feet, a few feet. But no, I heard also same thing. Same thing happens with Texas and Oklahoma and Colorado.
Yeah,
it's all the border states. Which obviously means, hey, there's a demand for weed in your state. If people are leaving your state to go to other states and they're willing to risk all the risk, like obviously your state's fucking up, but you could be making some revenue.
Well, they say that about Texas a lot. They do a lot of really foolish stuff, apparently, just kind of for political reasons. So, that wouldn't, for them, that wouldn't sway them. A logical argument is about the last thing that they need to hear. It's always been very silly to me. I remember Oregon used to have, I don't know if it still is a dry county or not, but I think it was an entire dry county. What county is it? It's not, is it Marion County? Maybe it's Marion County where the Marionberry is from. Some people know what Marionberries are. They're a type of blackberry that are really delightful. They're super sweet. Anyway, you can make them into wonderful pies. They're pretty much a local fruit, basically. So, like, people in Oregon know Marionberries like crazy, but other people around the world don't necessarily know them. Anyway, they're literally from Marion County, essentially, where OSU is. So I think no, it's not Marion County. It doesn't fucking matter, honestly. But the county was dry, and basically one town was it Monmouth or Independence. I think Independence was dry and Monmouth was wet, and basically, or maybe it was the other way around. And people would basically go from one town to the other to go get their booze. And I just remember thinking, like, what's the fucking point of this? Like, this town is just losing all their booze sales. Is my internet super shitty? Am I roboting? I hope not.
You're good.
No, you're fine.
What was I going to say? Like, why are you losing all your beer and whatever else sales to this other town? It just makes no goddamn sense. But
it doesn't make sense.
Logical, right? They just probably thought like, oh, the Lord says something. I don't even know. It's always something from the Bible too. But I'm like, dude, Jesus turned water into wine.
Yeah.
Around. Like what the fuck? So puzzling. Anyway.
There's there's a couple places in the states, in your states there that are dry counties. And that's a lot of them where they get the moonshine from. Or like you said, Jimmy, they go
I
over
kind
the
of always,
county and they go over to the next county and they get their alcohol there. Come back.
I kind of always wondered though about like the Christians and you know, forbidding the alcohol and everything because like Jesus was a Jew and the Jews drink. So where'd they get this shit?
I can't explain it. Yeah, in the Bible, Jesus drinks several times. Other prophets drink wine with dinner, on and on and on. But somehow drinking was bad.
By the way, I'm watering my plants with mango juice.
I thought you were going to say you're watering your plants with beer.
No, my outdoor plants. Not non-cannabis plants, by the way. Just regular household plants.
You said with mango juice,
How to get rid of
Sounds,
some
sounds expensive.
vitamin.
right? All or
Banana peels, potassium.
can you imagine if Drake grows his own weed? Probably water his plants with fucking Cristal or some shit. Hennessy.
I've seen a bunch of
Yeah,
videos
and it's
with people watering with beer.
That's actually a good thing. The alcohol itself is not really great for the plants, but beer is low enough that the alcohol probably dissipates just fine. I used to put beer in my compost teas. I haven't done compost teas for years, but the premise basically is pretty much the same as barley. You basically are
Already.
passing on all those enzymes essentially uh, uh, to the plants, basically enzymes and amino acids and stuff, and it's all readily available stuff. You're just basically making barley soup essentially. You're also honestly, you're making it more digestible. It's probably even more digestible for the plants than it was before because you're basically like removing all the cell walls and everything else, right? You're like distilling all the shit that the plants want, the plants with yeast, like yeast doing the work for you. So honestly, like yeah, like if we could afford it, probably watering our plants with beer would be like the best possible thing. One of these days, the guys that wins one of those like Legends of Hash or something is probably gonna say that they like Wagyu beef. He's like, yeah, I water my plants with beer. That's all. I water my plants with beer. I bet you. Because seriously, putting any kind of sulfurous things, putting fish hydrolysate, fish bone, whatever, it's proven to enhance flavor. I imagine that barley and stuff is basically the same if someone actually were to do a side by side comparison. Anyway.
well, we got a lot of fish sauces over here. You can try those.
Those
Well, but those are a lot of them. I mean, they are the fermented fish itself would probably be great if you were to dilute it. It would probably be really strong. Like if you were actually doing an NPK analysis, it would probably be like 30 parts phosphorus because those mixes are strong. You honestly have to water them down a lot. Um, what was I going to say? Even fish hydrolysate, when you buy it by the gallon, basically, it comes to, oh, I don't remember. I don't have a gallon with me right now. Uh, the phosphorus is still high, even when it's basically like ready to mix, essentially. What is it, Pacific Grow or whatever the one I buy now? It's not fully concentrated like you can possibly get, but it's still, I want to say, it's like 8, 12, 3 or some shit. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's pretty high. So you don't really want to be pouring a lot of that on your plants. So I was just thinking to myself, like, gosh, that fermented fish would probably be great. It's probably like sardines and stuff, which are actually low on the food chain. So low chance of getting things like mercury. One of the problems with fish hydrolysate that people say is that you have a potential to get heavy metals. I think it's more of a potential than anything, but it's always worth being a little bit paranoid. But the reason why you have that potential is that you're getting fish from all over the food chain. A lot of fish that are caught in nets that we specifically fish for, most fish are predators, and all the fish that we fish for are pretty high up in the food salmon, tuna, etc. They're not apex predator. Well, tuna are apex predators, but salmon are fairly close to the top, and so consequently they accumulate a lot of mercury and basically mercury essentially up into their bloodstream.
Meat and
So
all
if
the fish.
those bones, and like the waste bones from a fishery pretty much is going to be salmon bones and tuna bones and shit like that. If you grind those bones up, and tuna is notorious for mercury, you're going to concentrate that mercury into whatever you turn those bones into. So that's basically why people are paranoid about fish hydrolysate. But again, like that fish sauce from Thailand, sardines, they're basically at the bottom of the food chain, pretty close to it. They're close. They eat the stuff that eats plankton pretty much. So they couldn't almost be any further lower. So if there's anything that has less mercury, you almost can't get it. Um, yeah, I wonder. I've never had a chance to try that. I bet you anything that fermented fish shit would be great. What do they have? They have the same stuff in Italy. It's called oh, I can't think of the name of it right now. Uh, fuck, I can't think of the name of it. Garum. No, that was the old Roman name of it. The Romans used to have this like fish sauce basically, and I guess they have found the old recipe. I think maybe it's still called garum. Anyway, let me look this up before we bounce. Like, if he was making that shit.
Is that gonna have vinegar in it though?
Uh, fuck, I don't remember.
Fish sauces?
Garum is a fermented fish sauce that was used as a condiment in the cuisines of Phoenicia, ancient Greece, Rome, Carthage, whatever, and later Byzantium. Liquamen is a similar preparation, and at times they were synonymous. Although garum enjoyed its greatest popularity in the Western Mediterranean and the Roman world, it was earlier used by the Greeks. Like modern fermented fish sauce and soy sauce, garum was a rich source of umami flavoring due to the presence of glutamates. It was used along with murrey and manufacture. It's made from fish intestines, salt. Oh, just that. Fish intestines and salt. There you
Lovely things.
go.
Just what I want to eat.
I'm sure that's your
One,
favorite. Give me some fish intestines, please, and some salt too.
They ate
Um,
some weird shit in the old world.
oh, they still eat that shit. I was gonna say, what's the modern? What is? Because they still make this shit. I think they just call it something else. Uh,
There ain't no Dominoes.
here's everyone.
I can't find it right now. Anyway, long story short, it basically tastes like you probably think it tastes super fucking weird, right? But it basically tastes like Worcestershire sauce, or however you say that.
Worcestershire sauce.
Jesus H Christ. I want someone from Worcestershire to come and tell us how to say that goddamn name. But anyway, that sauce, you know what I'm talking about.
Cheers on the 20.
What's up, hardcore? Cheers. Happy 420. What's going on, buddy?
There you go, Creamy.
Lee and Perrins.
So your cheetah piss,
Cheapest.
smoking that in blunts, joints, long.
Mostly just
Right.
smoke joints, honestly. Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it's a little bit idiotic. I almost only ever smoke joints. I have uh, I have a couple of pipes here. I have my well, I guess I don't have hash. I have my hash rig. I have a bong in the other room. I don't ever smoke them.
No, all the Oregon people are always into chillums back in the day. That's
Hmm. Yeah,
like,
I've seen people smoke those.
yeah, like every time somebody come up from Oregon and Seattle, like, 20 years ago, they always had a fucking chillum with them. They're like, what, you don't know how to smoke chillum? I'm like, I just don't like getting my hand all smelly. It's like, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't know. Like it.
I dig it. Ryan's over there starting a bunch of seats.
Oh, that's just 100 seeds, remember? He did, or 1,000 or whatever, some crazy number.
Bunch of seats.
Okay, so my friend who like totally dissed me and went off to this island. Well, I found out now why he really went off to the island. He went to go meet with the health minister of Thailand.
Hmm.
And discussing the future of cannabis in Thailand, he informed and also guaranteed that there will be cannabis in Thailand, whether it be medical or otherwise, but with restrictions and regulations. Thanks everyone for coming on a short notice. For giving everybody the opportunity to hear this, but that's what Thailand is saying. So you're going to at least have medical. Come on.
Well, that's pretty good plan for a while. It would probably be pretty unpopular at this point to remove medical. I would imagine that they would
Oh,
catch good. I mean,
yeah.
Helen, I guess, has the unique privilege that whatever the king says is fucking law, and I guess the parliament sort of works that way too, I suppose. What am I trying to say? Uh, so I guess if they wanted to ban something, they could, like basically in what do they call it? Parliamentary mono. I don't remember what this government system is called. But long story short, from what I hear in Thailand, if they want to illegalize pork tomorrow, they probably could. They honestly could do it. Whereas in the US,
Yeah.
wouldn't fly. There'd be a million fucking lawsuits, on and on and on. It would go to each individual state, and it would be a clusterfuck if you wanted to do something like ban cars or some shit, right? But in a country like Thailand, it's a lot more possible. It's not like North Korea dictatorship where they could obviously ban anything they wanted to, but it's a lot more like that basically. But it still would be super unpopular, right? Like the king that you're not allowed to criticize and everything else would probably catch a lot of shit, and the parliament would catch a lot of shit because people would be like, "Oh my God, my mother with cancer," da 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 da. That kind of stuff would be really, really loud. So I'm not surprised that they want to keep at least medical. But to me, that statement didn't say all that much, because it's like, well, yeah, they're going to keep medical in some degree, but I mean, like, what does it mean that only people that are dying have access to it? They could make it that strict, like in Poland and a couple other places, they almost made it that strict. I don't think you had to be dying, but that was one of the qualifying circumstances was that you were physically dying, and you had. I remember they said it was very grim. There's like you have a doctor's note that you have less than 120 days to live or some shit. Literally, that was one of the criteria to get weed. The other ones were like severe spinal issues and da da da. Like they were not going to give permits to almost anybody, and even then they were importing it from frickin' Switzerland. It was a ridiculous system. Where am I going with that? Anyway, I hope that they are more permissive than that. I do kind of give Thailand credit though, like they honestly protect their citizens a lot more than a lot of other countries do. And so for example, like you've been talking about how uh the Thai ministers basically are pissed off that there are all these foreign investors coming in and taking up the potentially Thai businesses. And I'm like, good for them, honestly. We forget sometimes that we're supposed to actually be protected by our governments and not led to the wolves. But anyway.
Yeah. A lot of foreign owned, like Texas, I hear is like huge portions are owned by Arab land. And then I
Mm.
hear also that like, well, large parts of California are owned by like Chinese
Mm.
investors. Like that's not good.
I've actually heard people say that it's a mild form of economic warfare because basically, as they buy up those those investments, which for them is essentially a hedge against their own instability in their own countries, so the governments themselves, in many cases, buy up land in foreign countries that are considered safe, and it has the dual intended purpose, not even unintended purpose, of driving up land prices in that other country. So, for example, in Canada and the U.S., it's fairly well hypothesized that Chinese buyers have driven up prices catastrophically in Vancouver and so on. And the hypothesis basically is that that's a form of economic warfare, making it more difficult for the citizens of the country to afford those assets when basically the state or state controlled entities have bought them up first. If it's not true, it's plausible. Be a plausible Tom Clancy freaking side plot.
This fucking chair. I gotta retire it. Got this fucking chair that's the cats have been eating on, made out of rope. And so there's only like maybe like 1/10, no, not even that. There's only a few strands of rope left. And so like I'm basically sitting sideways.
That's funny.
So I just haven't gone to the store yet. I've been kind of lazy. I don't know. It's kind of you like get unmotivated to go shopping when it's a fucking 100+ degrees outside. Like you just don't want to go outside, you know? It's like
I mean, people forget how awful it must be to live in those places. Seriously. Like your car is probably 120 degrees. Like I remember what it was like when I was a kid
cars.
and we'd go visit Disneyland. That was my hot, super, super hot experiences, basically. Well, that's not true. We went, to like I don't know, Utah a few times, Grand Canyon. It was, crazy hot. But basically, like I always remember, going to Disneyland and we would come back, let's say, even in the evening, we would come back. I guess it was summer, so it was still bright out, but it was, 8 o'clock or something. We'd come back to the car and every single surface of the car is like fucking lava. And, and of
Yeah,
course,
that's
now. So we have to all basically sit in the fucking car on the hot ass vinyl. It was goddamn vinyl on those fucking cars and all the metal. If you want to unwind the window, it's like 150 fucking degrees. This got a metal window winder. Whew. People forget
and
how,
that's Orange County. That's Anaheim, Orange County. So things
and
like
it's significantly
just
cooler. Yeah,
go east another hour, 2 hours, and it's
yeah.
fucking another 25 degrees.
Oh, easily. It's just I don't know how people live there. It-
No, but I don't know. I like Anaheim though. I think it's a fun place.
yeah,
I don't know.
I've been there for a long
Orange County's pretty nice. Like there's a lot to do there.
time.
But yeah, Oregon would be good. It's just you guys, I don't know. I think you guys kind of messed your state up with the collection of everything for personal use. I think that kind of made it a magnet for
Hmm.
drug addicts to want to flock there.
They've actually undone it, yeah, because it was kind of a catastrophic failure. So yeah, we're going to see in the next probably year or something how much of a difference, because things happen slowly. So,
So they
and
undid it.
I think there is already less drug use on the streets because it for a while there it was looking like Mad Max shit, honestly. Like it was rough. Like there's a brand new Four Seasons tower in downtown, and I'm just scratching my head because I'm like, the Four Seasons is already around the corner from like two or three other luxury hotels. I'm like, how the fuck are all these luxury hotels here? And then on top of that, there's literally camping homeless people shooting up drugs in front of the Four Seasons. It was a very surreal experience, right? Because it was like something out of Blade Runner, really, because it's like here's the rich people, because if anyone's unfamiliar, the Four Seasons is not a hotel most people stay at. It's $400, $500 a night to start with, and they have rooms that are $2,000, $3,000. Yeah, Robert's nodding his head. That suite is basically at the Four Seasons. You know what I mean? Um, what was I going to say? Nancy Pelosi breakfasts at the Four Seasons every morning. That's how you know how fucking fancy that place is. So
You got
to
some dude
have
out
like
there shooting up in his arms
fentanyl, yeah,
outside.
seriously, to have fentanyl zombies right outside the Four Seasons is weird. It's a very weird somehow, but I don't know. Yeah. You got the billionaires and you got the abjectly poor and nothing in the middle somehow. It was weird, dude. It was a weirdly depressing experience for a while to drive through downtown. Not only that, but anywhere like I'd go to sushi downtown. I have the sushi place I love. We'd go park by the place and we would just be like, I don't know. It'd be like an act of faith that the car's not going to get broken into. Like seriously, like, and knock on wood, nothing happened. But I've had plenty of friends that had their even very crappy cars in some cases broken to shit. Um, one friend, a couple years ago, got their just like beater minivan, like not a nice car, not a car that most people would like to steal. But I guess everything has value to somebody. They tried to break in and start the thing, and I guess didn't know how and destroyed the steering column on this like 25-year-old car. So basically the repair costs as much as the car does. So essentially they totaled the fucking person's car, which as you can imagine with a 25-year-old car, the person doesn't have tons of money, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you say they repealed that?
They did absolutely. About 2 3 months, no, 3 months ago already, yeah, like in March. So yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's good then, because yeah, I was looking like what the fuck's that? Idiocracy. I thought Portland was gonna become
It
like
was starting to
Idiocracy.
be, honestly, man. It was a weird situation because unfortunately they did not provide any uh, treatment or addiction counseling facilities or anything, which would be the natural partner of a legalization scheme, right? Because I mean, come on, you have to realize making heroin legal is not the best idea, period. So having all the clinics and stuff on the back end was supposed to be there, but that costs a huge amount of money. And apparently, one of the most unfortunate things, I voted for that. I regretfully voted for it because all these years I've heard about these drug legalizations in Portugal and other places, Switzerland and other places that seem to have worked. But the key is that they had well-funded treatment basically built into the legalization. We just basically, apparently out of state interest, we're like, oh, I wonder what would happen if we just legalized drugs. And so literally they just fucking had it legalized and then didn't bother with any of the rest of the paperwork. And it led to a lot of problems. And it's basically led to a lot of empathy fatigue among everybody. The most kind of liberal of the liberal are sort of fed up with the idea that there's like just needles on the ground. A friend of mine, her daughter, adult daughter, basically, she would go to work. She'd take the bus to work, basically, and getting off the bus station would have to walk a couple blocks before she got home. Regularly would get chased by homeless people, like regularly would get chased by them because, pretty attractive, I don't know, let's call it 19 or 20-year-old girl. So literally like fucking getting chased daytime or nighttime. That's some fucked up shit. That's some zombie apocalypse shit right there. You know? It was weird. I remember noticing when I went to Israel that there were women joggers at like 11 o'clock at night. I was like, what the that was it was really jarring. I'd be outside smoking a cigar and some chick in a tank top is just jogging by. Not a care in the world because she doesn't have any fucking worries. And here in the US, especially in Oregon, my friend's daughter was getting chased by a fucking one time it was a junkie with a needle. He was chasing her with a needle.
That's horrible.
Seriously, what the fuck?
No, like, that's the biggest fear. Right? That's the biggest fear of walking downtown and like some big cities is that there are junkies shooting up, and like your biggest fear is getting them stabbing you with that needle.
Yeah, yeah.
Who knows what they.
I'd probably kill the person. I'd probably snap their neck right there.
Turn a full Steven Seagal or no, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Fuck, you're gonna stab me with a needle. Now the thing is our government, are they getting to the point where just saying, hey, let's let this all run rampant, let the people kind of control themselves, and then all of a sudden in 3-4 years when it gets really bad, come in and slam the door and say we're kind of taking over?
That has seemed like to some degree. Among other things, we've had a long run now of what's the guy's name? He's the outgoing DA now. Mike Schmidt, I think is his name. And he doesn't have a very good reputation now because he apparently refused to prosecute basically any low level offenses, period, basically. And that included anything shoplifting related under like $10,000. So if you went to Home Depot and stole a few $100 drills, no big deal. If you stole jewelry, as long as it was below $10,000, no big deal. So REI famously got cleared out, literally cleared the fuck out. There were apparently no prosecutions, on and on and on. It was weird. It's been a weird time. Uh, um, car thefts, all kinds of weird shit just didn't get prosecuted. And it's led to this really bizarre permissive environment where, like you say, we have all these essentially drug addicted zombies doing whatever they want and not worrying about it. The fuck? That's a weird world that you're living in right there. So yeah, you have to ask yourself, what's the purpose? Like, was it an experience? Was it an experiment in anarchy, or I don't understand what was going on? And something was going on. I think maybe 50 things that I don't think there was any one planet motion because a few years ago, the Portland Police Bureau basically said that they were essentially going to punish the people of Portland by essentially not enforcing street rules, by basically staying off the streets for enforcement of any kind. They literally vanished for like 2-3 years, and people were speeding like crazy. I mean, sometimes it's fun to drive fast, right? Don't get me wrong, but I mean, like literally, like 5-year-old expired plates, cars that were obviously not like no bumper, just like literally Mad Max looking fucking caricature cars that were all welded together from 5 different cars, just driving around, no big problem. It used to be if you had a tail light out, the cops would stop you in fucking 5 minutes. And the Portland police literally were just not enforcing anything for like 3 years. And it was apparently just as punishment, I guess, for I don't even remember for what, honestly, but it was, I guess,
No,
punishment for the way they were being treated, supposedly.
they did something. There was something kind of similar here, but it was during the defund the police movement.
I think that's how it started.
Um,
Yeah, and the police got really
and basically, yeah,
bad.
like basically people the expired tabs thing. Like I noticed, like become common, like a common thing. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But yeah, like you said, like even like the license plate light, they used to pull you over and harass you, right? And then like the speeding, but I don't know. California's always had the speeding thing, right? Everybody goes fast in California, so I'm not sure if that had any. But I don't know. I was worried about Oregon, Portland for a while because Portland was like, like good weed, beer, even though I'm not a beer drinker, and the other thing they had. There was another thing
Music.
they had. No, Seattle's got music too. Portland was like a baby Seattle to me. It's always like a baby Seattle. And so I don't know. I used to have fun when I go there. I used to like going to it's like this Asian garden that they have. I think it's Japanese.
Oh yeah,
Might be
Japanese.
Chinese. Super awesome. There's this area where it's I don't know if it's downtown or not. You'd know better than me, but it's like not far. It's like maybe a block or so from where like the Lumberjacks, Timberjacks, or the hell the soccer team, wherever
Oh yeah.
there's all these like bars. You
Mhm.
can like go to like it's like a circle of bars. Like I used to have fun going to that stuff. Like, but I don't know if I'd go to that in 2024. But in
Unfortunately, a
2011,
lot of
I
those
was going
places
there all
closed
the
up.
time.
Unfortunately, a lot of those bars closed up and have become like apartments and stuff, basically. But there's still a lot of bars out there. That's where the new Shake Shack is, just around the corner from there. Powell's is just down the street. When the world, um,
What was
Portland
it?
has
That
cool things
taco
going
place.
for it. If we could just kind of fix up that crazy zombie horde apocalypse kind of vibe that we had going for a while. It has already gotten better, I have to be honest. But I don't know. It was weird though, because just a few weeks ago I was in LA, and I remember LA as being kind of the zombie horde place. You know what I mean? Like LA was always kind of janky and divey. I remember you kind of making fun of not making fun of, but just kind of goofing with Bud when he was talking about how Masonic had a shop on Fairfax. And this is, this is a couple of years ago now, right? Because he had the shop there for 2, 3 years, and now he closed it down. Anyway, I remember kind of laughing because I was like, "Oh fuck, Fairfax is so dirty and jivey, and just like just broken down." Because when you would walk up and down Fairfax, remember that it almost never rains in LA, right? So if something falls on the sidewalk, it kind of stays there basically forever. And people chew gum, right? And a lot of times people in LA would just throw their gum on the street. Used to be a really common thing before littering laws, right? Well, anyway, Fairfax was just littered with what looked like gunshots, but they were basically just chewing gum that had been stepped on a million times and is all black, right? But it was very like a unique effect. It was like I don't know, what do they call it? The fuck the beach glass that basically comes from bottles. It's like, artificial beach rock. I don't know, I'm probably not describing this well. But anyway, it looked like some kind of a weird man-made feature on the moon or something. Anyway, it's just a very cool effect. Well, they've steam cleaned it. They've apparently cleaned Fairfax. So I was walking on there the other day, like there's none of those chewing gum things on there. Like it's not nearly as divey it used to be. The whole city was just like way cleaner, way less divey. I was like, what the fuck? This used to be what Portland used to be compared to LA, and it's somehow switched. It's so bizarre how time changes like that. Anyway.
They did clean up quite a bit of like different parts of Hollywood,
Hmm.
different, for sure. But there's still the shady parts. But like Sixth Street Bridge is like it's crazy. Like they spent all this money like remodeling it,
Hmm.
and like I don't know, the gang world just totally like just made it like I don't know. They're just shutting it down all the time. They're spray painting it all the time. They're blowing fireworks off on it all the time. Like it's strange. I don't know. Weird. I don't know. I thought they were gonna gentrify that area. Apparently it didn't. It's not possible. Might be a good
You almost want to give them credit, yeah, like preserving wildness or some shit. I don't know. Anyway. Bud Kilowatt says he thinks Kensington in Pennsylvania is a CIA plot to see how far the open dope market will go. Zombie apocalypse test. Famously, I remember Dirtman Dan used to talk about it because he's basically from not too far from there. It's just this street, literally Kensington Avenue, where I guess that's the center of the. I don't know if it's downtown or whatever. I don't know Pennsylvania too well, but was that Philadelphia? I guess.
Philadelphia.
Yeah. I was going to say there's not too many cities. Well, that's not true. Pennsylvania is a big state, but anyway, I'm going to say it's literally apparently a street where there's just open. I mean, I've seen videos. It literally looks like the zombie freaking apocalypse. It's pretty bad. But I mean, at the same time, like you could find any skid row basically in any big city, especially in America, but a lot of countries around the world, you'd probably see a fairly similar thing, like the open drug use. I don't know. Anyway,
I think the prices
Yeah.
are different, a lot different. I think Ohio is a lot more expensive than Philadelphia, that's for sure.
I mean,
Because to tell you, it's sad. It's sad to say, though.
But
Go ahead, Robert.
I interrupt you.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's sad to say, but to tell you the truth, I actually thought about it because with this epidemic and everything, I got locked out of my medications that help for nerve pain, really. And I've actually thought about coming to San Francisco, going to Philly, and at the prices I'm hearing, yeah, pick up something to help me medically because the doctors don't want to. And the medication from the doctors, unless I go old school like Delata, they're expensive as the street, if not more. And then there's the medication that I can't get anymore because of the street.
That was eye-opening years ago. This is a long time ago when a friend of mine who was pretty well put together, like he had a good job and everything else. He admitted to me that he had a several $100 a day oxy habit. And he basically told me, I always assumed somehow that heroin was more expensive than things like oxy, but no, it was quite the opposite. He said oxy is the clean, powerful version of heroin. And if you want basically a worse experience, but much cheaper, you go get heroin. And he was like, yeah, for 15, $20, I can go get a shot of heroin. But for whatever, it was literally a couple $100 a day.
$80.
Oxy habit. Yeah, it was crazy. I don't know what the prices would be now, but Jesus, that was eye-opening. Yeah. And I guess I didn't story that he got basically hooked. At that point, he was essentially a recreational user. I mean, he was addicted, but he admitted to me that it was essentially for recreational reasons. But he got hooked when he got his back hurt. Basically, he was working at UPS and he was, I don't know, moving boxes or whatever, and he hurt his back, like I guess a lot of people do. And because, the human back is not very well designed, honestly. Many of us get bad backs or get back problems throughout our lives. And so, sure enough, the doctor
J5's mom got a pretty strong back.
Andy. What's that, hardcore?
I said J5's mom's got a pretty strong back.
You've tried to be, you can't.
Strapping lady.
We are not fish.
What's that, Flora?
I said we are not fish. Like fish, they seem to have a very good. The vertebrae system seems to be really good on fish.
Well, not only that, but it's
You
not
did,
designed to
right?
be carrying gravity, right? Like, yeah, our body compresses our spine throughout our lives and causes all kinds of problems just because of that. It's idiotic, honestly. Anyway.
If you were a fish, would you fuck another fish, Flora?
If I was a fish, would I what?
Would you fuck another fish?
Like fish sticks?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you.
Hardcore, do you
Fuck.
like fish sticks in your mouth?
I don't
Sticks?
know.
No?
If I eat plankton.
Ladies and germs, I think we're going to start to slowly wrap it up because I have some stuff to do in the garden and stuff like that. So, ladies and gerbils, yeah, I guess we'll catch you next time. D, what are we thinking about the takeover? Are you interested in doing one?
Yes, sir. I got Saturday, same bat time, same bat channel.
We'll see the takeover. So once again, a little bit newer rules than before. Not the open door policy that we used to. I definitely want to sort of raise the discussion level a little bit. No burping, no farting, no being a fucking weirdo, stuff like that. So ask nicely if you would like to join the show. If you guys are regulars and so on, you're still welcome to hop on the show. Because unless I've specifically told you to not hop on the show or something. If I don't want you to be on, I'll tell you. You know, people sometimes email me weird shit like, "Oh, Phoebe, are you mad at me or something?" Like, if I'm fucking mad at you, I'll probably tell you. Anyway, so if you haven't heard from me, don't assume any fucking weird shit. Anyway, long story short, though, I do want to tighten things up. I don't want to have some of the weird shit that we've had in the past. So I reserve the right to ask people not to come back, honestly, because there's been people that I got sick of in the past. But in the meantime, though, just ask nicely if you'd be on the show. And like I say, if you do come on the show, don't be a dick. Don't show your dick. Don't fart. Don't burp on screen, etc., etc., etc. Like try to be civilized, like you would.
Hardcore's out.
I know exactly.
Ah.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, though, don't forget to visit my website, folks, fumidoro.com. There's plenty of seed lines available, and of course, plenty of t-shirts that you could enrich your wardrobe with, I'm sure. More to come, but I just honestly have been lagging on that stuff. I've got a bunch of other stuff I got to do that I'm apparently not doing. So anyway, ladies and germs, let's say our goodbyes. Who wants to go first?
Later.
Go for it, hardcore. Nice. It's quick. Go for it, Robert.
Peace, everyone. See you Saturday, maybe.
Good to see you. Go for it, Flora.
See you guys.
Yeah, man. Later. Go for it, D.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks to everyone watching. Thanks always to Fumidor for putting this on. Tune in, like Fumi said earlier, Saturday, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 10 o'clock Pacific. Or wait, the other way around. Take it easy, guys. Find me on Instagram, dzombie, d_zombie_. Later.
Yeah, man. Cheers, man. Later. Good to see you, my friend. And I guess that leaves the rest of us, folks, not much to say because I think I've said most of it. Don't forget to use the coupon code BRAINS. How do you pronounce that, D? The coupon.
Brains.
Sorry, I caught him off guard there. Save yourself a little bit of Skrilla there, ladies and gentlemen, on my website. And otherwise, make sure to visit the website, please. Stay tuned. Hopefully soon, we're going to get back to the whole tester regime. It's just been a madness from 6 degrees to Sunday. So hopefully I can finally send out some testers here soon. It's been so long, honestly, that I'll probably request new testers because who knows if people are still interested in testing from when was the last time I even asked, right? So it's ridiculous. So I might honestly ask for new inquiries or application, well, whatever the fuck that's called. Anyway, ladies and germs, keep your eyes posted or your ears posted or whatever the fuck I'm trying to say. Other than that, puff something wonderful, my friends. Be kind, be decent, be gentle. Don't be fucking pricks, dicks, or lunatics. Until we meet again, my friends, have a good one. Adios.